We can kickstart the class now. So today we shall talk about the topic teacher beliefs. And by the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain the concepts of teacher beliefs, including their types and the impact on teaching and learning process. And then you should be able to write a reflection note on how teacher beliefs can be changed. So in our last class, we spoke about the preparing you towards teaching, towards entering the classroom, where we mentioned that you need to be prepared for the classroom you want to enter, and you need to be prepared to meet a variety of students in terms of their learning styles, in terms of how they process information. So you will meet academic students in your class, people who don't need to be taught. They will just grab the concept on their own, even if they don't come to your class. While on the other hand, you will meet a large number of students who are not ready for the lesson. They are not ready for the learning content. They were just there just to fulfill one promise or the other. And you as a teacher, you should be able to organize the class in such a way that everybody will be carried along. At least you will be able to uplift the level of non-academic students to the level of the academic ones. And then we spoke about how you can align your curriculum, how you can align your courses towards attaining the goals of the program, or how you can align your subject, the topics in your subject, towards attaining the goals of that particular subject you teach. And that is when we talk about the constructive alignment, outcome-based learning. Then we talk about the constructive alignment and some challenges that are likely going to face as teachers when you're trying to ensure alignment between your teaching. So today, you have got enough preparation towards entering your class. Now the next thing will be to be aware of the kind of beliefs that you take as teachers to your class. So, and this is what we call the teacher beliefs. So to proceed with this, the teacher beliefs, what is it? Or what are the beliefs of teachers? How can we define teacher beliefs? So in a technical term, we call this conceptualization of teacher beliefs. And then we conceptualize it, okay? So teacher beliefs encompasses what? Personal conviction about education and the teacher's role in the classroom. So when you talk about the teacher beliefs, you are talking about personal convictions, those things that you have as your own do and don't as teachers. But this time around, we center it on the education and your role in the classroom as a teacher. So I repeat, teacher beliefs encompasses, has to do with personal convictions about education and the role that teacher plays in the classroom. And for these teacher beliefs, it has influence, of course. They significantly impact the teaching approaches, your methods of teaching. And also, they also influence the decision that you make in the classroom. So in other words, teacher beliefs change or shape the overall learning experience in your classroom. What about the student perspective? So teacher beliefs about students also influence the learning environment and directly affect how the students are motivated to learn and what the students achieve at the end of your lesson. But the kind of belief that you have will significantly affect the way you teach and will also significantly affect what you think about your students. Okay, so teacher beliefs about students influence the learning environment and directly affect student motivation and achievement. Okay, so this is what is it all about, the definition of teacher beliefs and the kind of influence from the teacher side and from the student side. Okay, Still again on the conceptualization, your role in the classroom, the teaching role. So different beliefs about teaching roles result in a varied instructional approaches and interaction with the students. Because the kind of belief that you have will influence how you interact with your student. If you think you are a teacher, you believe that you are a facilitator of learning, the kind of interaction you will have with a student to facilitate that learning will be different from an authoritarian teacher. An authoritarian teacher is the teacher who believes that he is all-knowing, he knows everything, and the student, they don't know anything. So this kind of teacher, they exist in our classroom. Okay, so which type of beliefs that you have will actually influence the kind of interactions you have with your student, and even the teaching methods. So the method of teaching, are you the one that believes in direct instruction like the authoritarian would believe, is just to impact the knowledge, as they will say, which is not true. It's to impact the knowledge, or is to push the knowledge to student heads and stuff like that. This kind of authoritarian statements, some teachers have that kind of belief. While on the other hand, some teachers believe that they are not the sole authority in the classroom, so rather they are to facilitate the learning, and the students, they are not just dullard, or they are not just stupid. Instead, they know one or two things, okay, in which you can let them actualize their potential by guiding them appropriately towards achieving their the peak of their potential. So this is kind of belief that some teachers have about the student. So they believe the student, they are potentially gifted. They just need one or two help from here or there so that they achieve the full potential. Okay, and the awareness of your belief as teachers is crucial for creating positive learning environment, fostering effective teaching, and supporting student success. This particular presentation is going to be in a way that I will bring to you some content, then I also give to you some kind of questions so that you feel that, oh, these kind of questions I'm going to address after going through this lesson, okay? So now, that's just a brief about what teacher beliefs is and the kind of influences or the impact that teachers' beliefs can have. Theoretically, there are 3 levels of thinking about teaching. That is, the whole of teachers' beliefs, as much as they are, you can categorize them into 3. And then we call them levels. Why do we call them levels? We call them levels because they are from, in terms of development, the one at level 1 is lower in development than the one at level 2, while level 3 is the peak of development in terms of thinking about teaching, in terms of beliefs that teacher should have or teachers have. Okay, so we have 3 levels. So the first level of thinking about teaching is to focus on what the student is. The focus on what the student is. Who is the student? Academically or non-academically? Motivated or non-motivated? You are just concerned about the abilities of your student. So at this level, which is the level of where some teachers are, they believe that the students, they focus on the student. And what do we mean by that? So at this level, teachers primarily focus on student differences. Oh, this guy is very good. Oh, this boy is not good. Oh, that boy is very intelligent. Oh, this one is not intelligent. So these are the kind of differences they have before they get to the classroom. So they attribute learning outcomes to these inherent characteristics. Oh, in my course, females cannot pass my course because my course is very difficult. It involves a lot of calculations. Only males, some strong, even the strong among the males, can actually pass my course. Some teachers will tell you that. Some teachers will tell you that, oh, don't worry, since you are from education, these students from education, they don't know much about programming. You know that all of you will get C or D, and then some teachers will tell you even to your face, because they believe or they capitalize on the differences among the students. The Faculty of Education is a rejected faculty in which students who don't get admission in engineering, don't get admission in pharmacy, don't get admission in other places, they don't push them to education just for them to have an admission. This is the kind of notion that some students, that some teachers have about a student from education. Any teacher that falls in this category is still operating on level 1. He is a baby teacher according to this theoretical foundation. Okay, so, and then because they believe they focus on the individual differences and they ascribe your success to where you come from, how you look like, you are a male, you are a female, you are from Lagos, you are from deep down in Maiduguri, or you are from this one and this one, the kind of teaching approach they also do, they emphasize transmitting information through traditional methods, such as lectures without adapting to individual needs. Just give you direct instruction. Do this, do that, do this, do that. If you don't do it, that means you don't know what to do. You are not intelligent. And if you are able to do it, good of you, then we move on. They don't care about your individual needs. Rather, they only focus on transmitting the knowledge or impacting the knowledge, as they will call it. Okay? Then again, the assessment, the kind of assessment that they give students, it focuses on quantitative. They're just to measure whether you are correct or you are incorrect, pass or fail. They overlook some kind of deep understanding of the concepts. Whether you understand or you don't understand, as soon as you are not able to score high or as soon as you are not able to get it correctly, there is no partial mark, you fail. So some of these teachers, they have this notion. And unfortunately, at this level of assessment is what most of us are operating in the university. We just want to see pass or fail. We just want to see good or bad. We just want, like, as if everything is binary, but it is not. There will be something in between. It is not only black, always black and white. There are some other colors in between. Okay, so what about the curriculum? So they view the curriculum as a checklist of content to cover. They just want to tick, oh, lesson 1, I cover it. Module 2, I cover it. Module 3, then we are done. Whether you understand or you don't understand, that is your luck. That is your own problem. I've taught you what I'm supposed to teach you. So they don't give the student the opportunities to kind of engagement or deep comprehension of the concept. So they only focus on the curriculum. I've covered the syllabus, that is all. Whether he covers it well or he didn't cover it well, he does not care. So this kind of thing happens there. And then if there is any failure or any attrition in the course, they blame the students. Okay, so they attribute learning issues to student characteristics, resulting in unreflective teaching and mixed opportunities for improvement. So level 1, those who focus on who student is, it is called a blame the student theory or blame the student level, where anything that happens, any bad thing that happens in the course, the blame is on the student. The teacher is going to accuse himself that I've taught them everything I'm supposed to teach them and they don't pass, that is a problem. So this is level 1 teaching. I'm thinking about teaching. Okay, then again, still on that, level 1 teachers primarily focus on student differences, attributing learning outcomes to the inherent characteristics. I think this is a repeated slide. Then I have some tips for you, some food for thought, some things that you need to think over as we approach, we are moving on in this lesson. Based on what you have said so far, you should be able to look at these problems and then try to address it yourself. Can you answer this question if you are given in the next 3 weeks now that we're having our first CA? So can you provide examples of how the varying beliefs about students can shape teaching approaches and influence student outcomes? Can you attempt this question? The next one, can you do this as well? Evaluate the characteristics of level 1 teaching and its potential drawbacks. Can you discuss how a focus on blaming the student may affect student practices and hinder opportunities for reflective teaching? There is another question. Can you analyze the role of teacher beliefs in shaping instructional strategies and assessment practices? I think there is a missing slide in this presentation, which has to do with some kind of criticisms of level 1. Maybe when I said during this slide, I will give you the updated version. I think I prepared something on criticisms of level 1 thinking of teaching. So the next question you can also think of is, how do defining beliefs about teaching methods contribute to varied approaches to education? We can provide examples to illustrate your point. So I will pause a little bit for 1 minute. Let me open my time, and then just allow you to look at these questions, and then you think of some likely answers on your own. So you have 1 minute to think of this. Okay, great. We can proceed. What about the level 2?
Sorry, sir.
Yes, you can say something.
I have a question, sir. Sorry, what you just showed us now, is it an assignment or we should do it right now? Yes, this.
Yeah, these are just some questions that should keep you thinking as we are proceeding in this lesson. Okay? There are some questions that you should have at the back of your heart as we proceed in this lesson. So by the time we finish this lesson, or by the time we finish this particular module, I will send you this slide. Okay? Then you will have these questions when you're practicing for your test or for your exams. You can try to attempt some of these questions after reading the main notes, not ordinary these PowerPoint slides. Okay? Okay. So we move to the second level, the level 2 thinking about teaching. In this case, the focus is on what the teacher does. Remember, the first one is what the student is. Now, this is what the teacher does. What is it all about? And I must mention, level 2 is better than level 1, or is more advanced than level 1. And level 2 is all about what the teacher does. Okay? Description. At level 2, teachers shift their focus to what they do in the classroom. Now, they don't think about whether you are from education or you are from sciences, or whether you are from Lagos or you are from deep down in Maiduguri, or whether you are black or whether you are white, or whether you are a male or whether you are a female, you are a village girl, you are a town city guy. They don't care about this. They only focus on what they do as teachers. How can I organize my lessons so that everybody will be carried along? It is all about the teachers, what he does. So this view still involves transmission, but emphasizing transmitting complex concepts and understanding rather than just mere telling you what to do, like in the level 1. Okay? And responsibility, the teacher takes on significant responsibility for effective teaching. They recognize the possibility of more efficient approaches. In this case, teachers feel like, yeah, it is my responsibility to make sure that everybody is carried along. It's my responsibility to make sure that everybody gain 1 or 2 things in my class. It is my responsibility to make sure that I organize my class so that my class is more interesting for the student to learn. The responsibility lies now on the teacher. In the first instance, they were like, oh, don't worry, you cannot pass my course because you are this, because you are that. Now they don't blame the student again. Rather, they blame themselves. We should see that very soon. So learning is perceived as a result of teachers' actions rather than solely dependent on student characteristics. This is the major difference between level 2 and level 1. Learning is perceived as mainly teachers' actions rather than depending on student characteristics. Teacher skills. Teacher at level 2 try to develop a range of teaching skills beyond traditional methods. They can put in blended learning, they can put in online learning, they can put in PowerPoint, make sure you interact on the module, all this kind of a thing. Acknowledge the need and the basic things to be done. Okay? Still on level 2, they also capitalize on trying to develop themselves. Traditional approaches to style development often emphasize what it does focusing on teaching skills. They try to improve themselves. Anytime you see them, they'll be going to seminar, they'll be going to workshop on how to improve their teaching. This kind of teachers. Again, they also deal with kind of management skills. It's very crucial here because they negotiate or they recognize effective teaching is not just about managing the classroom, but also facilitating learning. So they engage in management and they also engage in facilitating learning. Prescriptive advice. Common advice includes establishing clear rules. When you want to be in level 2, for instance, these kind of things that you should be doing as teachers, you should be able to establish clear rules before you start your class. Let the student know what your syllabus entails. Let the students know what is expected of them. Let your students know what is expected of you as teachers. They also ensure clarity in communication. You maintain eye contact when you're teaching them. You don't just look at the board alone or just look anywhere. Just focus on your students in the classroom. All these are essential for effective teaching. But again, this particular model too is deficit. How? Because it places emphasis on teacher competence. Because we say the focus is on what the teacher does. So if the teacher is not competent in this level, is going to do rubbish and make a mess of the whole of everything in the process. So and that is why we have some critique of this level 2. For level 1 and 2, we have some critique. That slide is omitted, like I mentioned. I'm going to provide you with the slide. Okay. So critique of level 2, they say okay, it's a deficit model. Deficit model in the sense that now you blame the teacher. In level 1, you blame the student. If anything goes wrong, you blame the student. But in level 2, if anything goes wrong, you blame the teacher. They will say a teacher who teaches and the whole of the class or a good number of the class failed the course, that means the teacher too has failed because we focus on what the teacher does. Okay, good. Again, we also need the conceptual competencies. So teaching competencies must be considered in the context of specific teaching goals, not in isolation. What do we mean by this? That you as teachers, because we focus on you, we focus on your competencies. Then in this case now, if you don't have the competence to teach or the competence is out of place, your own competence is public speaking, not ways to disseminate information, not way to organize a good classroom, then you are going to have a little problem here. So these are another criticism. Then we also have the skill development. So the focus should be on the effectiveness of skill development rather than just skill itself. This is a kind of tip. When you know in level 2, we talk about a teacher should develop their skills. But now we should not only concentrate on just attending the conferences alone, but that skill, which type of skill we don't want to develop. So we need to consider this, and we also consider the impact of the skill on the student learning. So this is another point. Okay, then we also need to engage in reflective teaching. Level 2 teachers should engage in reflective practices. At least they should question what they do. What am I doing well? What am I doing why and not well? And why is it not working well? So these kind of questions can be considered in order for you to mend any shortcoming in level 2. So this is on level 2, okay? And again, we also have some questions for you to think of. Number 1 is, look at this interesting question. Examine, look at that, examine the shift from level 1 to level 2 teaching, focusing on the evolution of teachers' role from information transmission to the transmission of complex concept and understanding. Can you now discuss the implication of this shift on teaching practices and student learning outcomes? This is a nice question for you to think about. Another question is this: can you critically analyze the deficit model in level 2 teaching? What are those things that we just mentioned now? So by reading through the slide and also reading through your note, you should be able to have an idea on what to do here. So where the blame may be placed on the teacher's competencies. How do competencies such as classroom management and technology integration need to be considered within the specific context of teaching goals to ensure their relevance and effectiveness? I think this is the last question. You should be able to explore the idea that the focus should not solely be on the possessing the skill, but also on how and why these skills are deployed. How does this perspective contribute to a more comprehensive understanding of effective teaching practices? So I think that's all. So again here, I'm going to give you another 1 minute for you, this time around 2 minutes, so for you to look through these these particular questions and then see if you can get an idea on what to do and how to deal with it. Again, it is not an assignment, it is not a classwork, but something to just keep you in the mode while teaching. All right, so you have less than 2 minutes now. Excuse me, can you stop the side talk? Okay, I think I've noted that parrot. Okay, so we can proceed. I think that was a nice discussion there from that parrot. So we proceed now to level 3, thinking of teaching of teachers. So, and in this level, now the focus is no longer on what the student is. It's no longer on what the teacher does, but now we focus on what the student does. Can you see this now? Level 1 is what the student is. Level 2 is what the teacher does. Now, level 3 is what the student does. So these are the 3 basic levels of thinking about teaching. And they also move in complexity. So level 1 is at the lowest level, and level 3 is at the highest level. So in level 3, you as teachers should be able to focus on what your students are doing in your classroom. When you teach, your focus should be on what your students are doing. Are they just looking at you doing nothing? Or are they just copying notes verbatim without getting the dictate of the note, without developing any understanding of the concepts? Or they are just there. They're just not following you. So you need Yeah, I was saying there was a technical problem in there, so I need to reshare the screen now. Okay. Oh, I want to believe you can see my screen or not yet.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I repeat, perhaps you are not hearing me before, that in level 3, where we focus on what the student does, the emphasis is on the student actions, and the effectiveness of teaching is measured by the achievement of these intended learning outcomes. All right? Good. Perfect. So still on that, expert teaching, mastery of teaching techniques is crucial in this level. So, but their relevance lies in whether the students, the learning has occurred or it has not. So you need to master your craft as teachers at this particular level. And again, you have to transform from previous levels. Like I mentioned, these levels, they were just in the complexity. Level 1 is the lowest level, followed by level 2, and level 3 is the highest level. So like in level 1 and level 2, level 2 requires clarity on what students are to learn. The internal learning outcomes, the syllabus, and what is expected at each point, the specific activities to be done. Okay, the specific activities to be done, all these will be spelled out in the curriculum. Perfect. So, and again, key components of level 3 teaching, they are this. 1, you need to specify the learning outcomes prior to the teaching. Teachers at level 3 must specify what students are expected to achieve after instruction. They need to emphasize whether there's going to be practical application of knowledge. Okay. Yep. I believe you should be able to hear me now. Good. So you need to depart from previous level. So what are these departure and how can you talk about it? So level 3 departs from earlier models by emphasizing the importance of defining internal learning outcomes, understanding levels, and tailored activities. All these, they are the major differences between level 3 and the other 2 levels. Okay? The next one could be student-centered approach. So in level 3, the key shift is from what the teacher does to what students do. Now we focus on our students, what they are doing. So this is a big move from a teacher-centered to a student-centered approach. Take note of this. Take note of this statement. We are moving away from teacher-centered now to what? Student-centered approach. That is level 3 for you. And again, we'll talk about the departure, which has to do with the importance of learning activities. All right, so the learning activities. So the learning activities here, what are we talking about? So the focus on student doing the work underscores that teaching effectiveness is measured by the success of learning activities rather than just teachers' action. So this is very fundamental. Okay. Then also, you need to know that the effectiveness is measured by the success of this learning. Have you been able to teach your students in such a way that the activities, the teaching learning activities are aligned with the learning outcomes? Is it what you set out to teach that you actually really teach? Okay. Then again, you need to take this holistic approach. This is in level 3. Level 3 teaching adopt a holistic approach. You don't focus only on student differences. You don't focus only on what you do, rather you take a holistic approach to the process. What your student is, what you do as teachers, and how do you organize your lesson in such a way that your learning outcomes are achieved. So this is on level 3. Now again, I think I'm not into some also some questions for you to ponder on. Some questions for you to enjoy yourself with, which I call the food for thought. So number 1 here is, can you evaluate the fundamental shift from teacher-centered to student-centered teaching in level 3? Can you? The second one could be, can you examine the significance of specifying learning outcomes in level 3 teaching? This is very fundamental. So how does this contribute to a more focused and goal-oriented approach? And what challenges might arise when you define your learning outcomes in advance? What are the challenges? Can you discuss the departure from 1 and 2 models in level 3 teaching, particularly in terms of emphasis on student actions? I also have here, I think second to the last question, how does the shift from teacher-centered to student-centered influence teaching practices? And what implication does it have for measuring teaching effectiveness? And the last question is, explore the importance of teaching learning activities tailored to achieve specific levels of understanding in level 3 teaching. Provide examples of how such activities contribute to a more engaged and participatory learning environment, promoting deeper comprehension. These are some nice questions for you. You can play around with it, and I will also give you again 2 minutes to look at these questions. Okay. Everything is good so far? Good. Any comments on this? Now you are free to unmute yourself and then make your comments if there is any. If you want to speak, you can unmute yourself and then speak up. Okay, so if there is no comments, I think you can stop sharing the screen now. And then let me see how far we have gone. Perfect. So the next part of this talk is on impact of teacher beliefs on the teaching and learning process. What impact does it make for you to have one belief or the other? If you're a level one thinking of teaching, what kind of impact can this have on your teaching process? If you are operating on level two, what kind of impact does this have on your teaching process? If you are operating on level three, what are the kind of impact can this have on your teaching process? I think I'm going to give you, let's see, I should be able to group you. Let me see how that can be done easily from here. Then, where do we do this? Participants, okay. So I want to give you a task now to do. Okay, I think now I can stop the recording.